Hello, everyone. Welcome to Decoding Downtowns, brought to you by Vistity. In this podcast, we dive deep with leaders from business improvement districts across the nation, revealing the strategies that are shaping the future of urban development and economic growth. Thanks for joining us. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. It's Jamie Schwartzman, your host for Decoding Downtowns. And today I have a treat. We are going to Rockville, Maryland. It's a region just outside of the capital. We'll speak with Cynthia Rivarde. She's the Chief Executive Officer of Rockville Economic Development, also referred to as READY. Cindy, how are you today? Welcome to the podcast.
Good, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you. Tell us a little bit about Rockville. Where are you and what's that place all about?
Sure. Rockville, Maryland is in suburban Maryland outside Washington, D.C. It's a really lovely community with great schools, great parks, a lot of stuff to do, a lot of good jobs in the area, and about a population of around 70,000.
I see. And how big is the district that you focus on with READY?
Well, that's a loaded question. So we provide economic development services for the city of Rockville. So that is within the city boundaries. But we also run a small business administration program called the Maryland Women's Business Center, where we help entrepreneurs start and grow businesses. And that's in a much larger geographic region. We've been assigned the capital region. So that would be Frederick, Prince George's, Montgomery, and Howard counties.
Cindy, tell me a little bit about the organization, because place management organizations are structured and financed differently. How are you guys set up?
Yeah, in 1997, the city of Rockville spun us off basically as a nonprofit organization. So the mayor and council are our sole member. We report to them. They are our largest funder. So as I said, we provide economic development services where we're trying to attract and grow businesses within the boundaries of the city. And our incentive programs are limited to within the boundaries of the city of Rockville. But we do provide technical support and one-on-one business counseling and workshops on a variety of topics for people who are in the entrepreneurship realm in a much larger region.
I see. So you guys are government funded.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, got it.
So if anybody wants to donate money to us, we accept.
That makes sense. So what's it like to be CEO of this organization?
Well, it's really a great opportunity for me because by setting up the structure this way, I have a 21-person board of area leaders, business leaders who own the organization, help us set the vision for where we're going. And we align with where the mayor and council of Rockville are taking the city with a lot of other, obviously areas of focus that they have. So it's a great central position to be able to gather information, align vision, and really get to grow this community the way that the residents, the businesses, and everybody wants it to be.
How long have you been in the role?
6 years.
Got it. And so how did you get into this role? What's your story?
My story. Well, I have a background in art and theater, and also I'm a lawyer, commercial real estate lawyer. And when we hit the recession in 2007, 2008, I had to sort of reinvent my life, and I got a job doing economic development for the city of Coral Gables, Florida. And they had me doing economic and cultural development. It was really great. So I kind of got sucked in there, and I like the work because it's, always different. You're always trying to make things better. You're building things, and you see tangible results from the efforts that you put into a community.
Cool. So tell me about Rockville EDI and how you guys play a role in supporting economic development in your area.
Sure. And, we have a lot of partners. So, we're working with the Department of Commerce for the state of Maryland. We work with Montgomery County Economic Development Corporation, which is our county. And Montgomery County is one of the largest counties in the country. It has a lot of assets, a lot of things going on. So we layer our efforts and we work together. We also work with the school districts. We work with the, area universities and colleges. And there's a Maryland Tech Council. There's TEDCO, which is another organization spurring technology at the state agency. So we really connect with everybody and trying to elevate and innovate the ecosystem.
So what are some of the challenges that are going on in your region, in your area, that are sort of specific to what you're facing right now?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure some of these challenges are national challenges. Obviously, post-pandemic, we, the return to work has been different than it was pre-pandemic. So there's a lot of hybrid work schedules. There's a lot of flex time. Corporations aren't taking as much office space as they did, or they're retracting the amount they have. So we're going through that cycle, which is also, you know, raising up the buildings that maybe are coming to end of life and will need to be redeveloped at some point. Brokers talk about it as a market correction, even though it may be painful in the short term. I think we're going to start to see some impact on the taxes in the next year or two based on that. But generally, it's a very strong economy and diverse economy in this area, being near the nation's capital. So long term, I don't see any concerns about that. From a retail restaurant perspective, the businesses are pretty much getting back to where they were. We had a little blip. Again, it was a national situation where the people who were in hospitality retooled their skill sets and went into other things. And so when we came back to being in person, there was a lack of employee base, but that seems to have corrected at this point.
I see. And so what are some of the things that are working for you well right now?
Well, there's a lot going on with life science, bioscience. We were the epicenter for the vaccine development right in Rockville. AstraZeneca is in Gaithersburg, which is our neighbor. They are actually building a new manufacturing plant to solve blood cancers and cancerous tumors. We have amazing corporations in this area that are solving AIDS and diabetes, all sorts of things. You can't even believe the science. So we really work to grow that ecosystem, connect people. I think we had talked earlier that having NIH and FDA right in our backyard really positions us as a thought center for this kind of sector that attracts people to being here and starting their businesses here. We have been ranked the last couple of years as third in the country for biolife science because of our highly talented workforce. The other business sector that we're really focusing on this year is small scale manufacturing. It's an area of a lot of growth. We're seeing a lot of people starting their business. They've got a product, an idea, and a lot of them are food and beverage oriented. And it's a way to, especially for people new to the country, to control their business, control their income, create value and wealth for themselves and their family that they can pass down. So it's an area that we think has a lot of equity opportunities to it too. So we're focusing on providing technical support for a cohort of new business owners in that area.
Hey, tell me a little bit about the downtown area and sort of what's happening in downtown. What's its trajectory right now?
Sure. So Rockville is interesting. It's been known throughout its history as the place to come shopping. And the Rockville Pike, called the Pike, goes through the town, and it's always had a lot of really vibrant retail. Twinbrook Quarter is a big mixed-use project going up there right now. It's anchored by a Wegmans. It's got beautiful residential. It's got office. It'll obviously have the retail, and it's going to have a Main Street component to it. The downtown proper of Rockville is called Town Center, and the largest project in that is Town Square. It's a little confusing, but Town Square was originally developed by Federal Realty and was recently sold to Morguard, which is a Canadian company. And it is also a mixed-use project, has a lot of surrounding residential. Rockville is the county seat, so there's a lot of government offices here. There's a lot of lawyer offices, a lot of restaurants, grocery store, retail. So it is something that is coming back after the pandemic. And with the new ownership, they're really getting some new tenants in, which is exciting.
I see. And then are there any sort of major construction projects going on or new developments?
Well, Twinbrook Quarter would be the biggest one. And then, with most communities across the country, more housing units is what we really need. And so we have a lot of housing projects in the pipeline. I don't actually have them all teed up in my mind at the moment, but that is a real area of concern for the city and the county is how do we develop more units because we just don't have enough.
I see. And is the pipeline sort of mixed use urban infill, or are they more sort of, outlier neighborhood single family?
It's both. So in the town center, there is a developer who is redeveloping. It's an assembled parcel that will have a lot of townhomes on it, but it will be integrated into the downtown experience. And then there are on the outskirts in King Farm, there's a more of a very high-end townhomes as well that is going up.
Got it. Okay, let's pivot and talk a little bit about data and economic development data that you're tracking. And I'd like to know from your standpoint, like what is, of all the data that you're tracking, what's the data that people are most interested in when it comes to investment, development, community stakeholders, the big impacts?
Yeah, and I think it depends on the projects, but certainly we're tracking jobs and capital investment and, how much square footage people are either leasing or purchasing for use. For the incentive programs, we track all of that and, the addresses and how much we're giving so that we can see what the return on investment is per, capital investment or jobs. In the tourism realm, we look a lot at what is the website traffic? What are the impressions we're getting? I know that through social media and some of our campaigns this year, we focused one on Global Bites, highlighting our international dining scene. We exponentially grew our audience base. I think that's always interesting to people is to understand, are your marketing efforts working?
Hey, tell me more about the incentive programs, the kind of programs that you have and how those work.
Sure. The city has two main incentive programs that it funds itself. Obviously, we put together packages with the county and the state for larger projects that might come in. The first is called a Move and Expansion Grant, and it pairs with a similar county grant. So we give up to $4 a square foot for somebody who is new to market, taking space, or they are expanding their footprint. So they get it for the expanded footprint portion. And for us, it's capped at $40,000 for that. But it's really to get people into the vacant space that we have. And it has been a significant attractor. People will choose Rockville because that they have that as an edge to come in and defray some of their costs. The other one that we developed right before the pandemic at the end of 2018 is a small business impact fund. And it's a program that includes social responsibility. So the recipient of the grant has to show that they are doing more than just running a business in Rockville. They have to be giving back to the community in some way that they can articulate. And then we help them fund a project that is going to accelerate their business, move them to the next level. So it might be a marketing campaign or helping them with their website or getting a POS system. So they tend to be smaller amounts of money, but very impactful for the businesses that are being served.
Do you have a sense of, it's just sort of total dollars that have been invested across these programs?
Well over 2 million well over 2 million.
Wow. And then you also have some data associated with these that kind of show what the impacts and the performance of those were?
Yes. And that is on our website. If you go to the incentive program, we have a running list of all the grant recipients, so you can see that.
Cool. And so if there happens to be a grant, a proposer who wants to participate in this, do you have any sense or guidelines of the things that tend to be what you're looking for and what is more attractive versus what disqualifies you?
We allow people to be creative. So it's not really that. It has to be something, obviously, that is achievable and realistic. It's taxpayer dollars ultimately that are channeling through us. So we have to be able to show that it is going to have a positive impact for the community. But other than that, not really. We have applications come in for review twice a year. The September 30th deadline is coming up, and then we have an April 30th deadline. We have an incentive review committee that looks at all the applications, and they make the decisions about who to fund.
I see. And then, do you have a sense of what percentage of these things are approved versus denied?
I don't offhand. I would say most get approved for at least some funding. Occasionally, there's a reason to disqualify somebody, and certainly they're disqualified if they're not in the city boundaries.
Got it. Okay, great. So let's talk about sort of how you're doing storytelling of economic development in Rockville. How are you doing that now, and has it changed?
Well, I think that we don't really use print anymore, which is a big change in the last, 10 years. We really do a lot through social media and a lot with engagement. We developed a local tourism website called explorerockville.com .org, and that has allowed us really to tell the story to residents and visitors. When you think about attracting businesses and workers here, really it's what lifestyle will they have here. Having that information for them to understand what there is to do and see and experience is really one of the important messages for us to get across. So the other thing that I think is really important for this area is the diversity that we have here. It's hard to explain if you haven't been here. It's different. We have so many people who from all over the world who come here. It's a very welcoming place. I mean, I think you can come from anywhere with any culture and find, home here, and acceptance and engagement and intellectual stimulation and good schools and good parks. So, that is a real part of our story, is letting people know that this is a place that, you're welcome, and, you can achieve your dreams here.
Are you guys publishing reports with any kind of frequencies, or do you have like a regular dashboard that's out there? How do you guys sort of distribute information?
Sure. We don't have a public facing dashboard. We do use a CMS system for tracking what we're doing, and then we compile our information with that. We issue an annual report, and that is also on our website. And so you can go see all the annual reports from prior years, and this year it's just been published. So it's there. And that really is explaining what did we do with the funding we got from the city with Rockville? What did we achieve? We do an annual strategic planning process with our board in April. So, and that, gets compiled into an official strategic plan and goals that gets communicated. So we also track how did we do against that.
Do you guys keep a list of, pipeline of projects that are under consideration or groundbreaking?
We do have all of that information. We don't always publish that because it's not always, sometimes it's confidential.
I think. Got it. How do you see tools like data visualization, dashboards, digital platforms playing a role in, what you're doing in the future?
We use a lot of that to identify trends and to understand our demographics, to understand our audiences. So I think it's very helpful. We do map where major employers are to show, if we want to show what does the bio life science sector look like here, we create that so you can see the volume of corporations that we have doing that kind of work here. So yeah, I think from that kind of demographic and market information is very important.
Cool. Hey, so Cindy, let's look at the next short 1 year ahead, 12 months from now, right? We're just coming into September 2024. If we were to look out at September 2025, what's on the table? What needs to get done that's in process?
Yeah, so we have a couple major projects in the pipeline, not really real estate development. One is creating a branding for the life science, bioscience. When we go to international trade shows, it's really hard to say what is suburban Maryland. I mean, people understand Washington, D.C., but we are not D.C. We're close, but it really is a different place. So we've hired a company that is helping us create that. And we've been working with our area partners, the county, Maryland Tech Council, Gaithersburg, to help us create messaging and a sense of identity, like Silicon Valley, hopefully, or Research Triangle, so that people understand, yeah, you're the place with all of the workforce. The other project that we're working on, last year we had a study done on our small scale manufacturing opportunities here, because we have a couple light industrial areas, which there are in this area, there aren't a lot of. So it is a limited resource that we have. And based on that, we're creating some technical assistance programs to help people who are starting small scale manufacturing businesses figure things out, like their distribution, their online commerce. And so we're going to be teaching those classes to a cohort and hopefully see how that goes and whether we can continue to expand it. I mean, ideally, we'd like to get to a place where we could have a commercial kitchen in one of these areas. I think that there's always needs for more commercial kitchens. There's so many, food trucks and small businesses that are trying to launch, people going to the farmers markets, and they need a place to be able to do that work before they have a full-on investment. So that would be, if we win the lottery, what we'd love to do.
I see. So let's move the milepost out, maybe 5 years, 10 years. What's the vision for, your district in that time frame?
I think, getting back to the need for housing at all levels for people, I think we want to continue to be a very inclusive community. So we want to make sure that everybody can live here and work here and participate. So I think that, having the job opportunity, but also having the housing opportunity is, a major goal for the city that everybody's sort of working on how we get there.
And those need to be invested in and built. Got it. Okay, so let's play make-believe for a second. We're going to pretend that you've been handed a magic wand, and you have now the power to cast a spell to promote the vitality of Rockland, Maryland. Cynthia Rivarde, how would you use your magic wand?
So for Rockville, yes, I personally would love to have an art center. So I would love to be able, and that takes government funding, which is always the challenge. It's not a private investment opportunity, but we really need a black box theater. I would love to have, a forum where you just have performance opportunities, engagement opportunities, intellectual discussions, seminars and lectures, and just be sort of a community hub for all of that. We have a wonderful library in the heart of downtown, but it's not really the same kind of thing with programming dedicated towards the arts.
So bring arts and culture to Rockville.
Yes. Well, we have plenty. I just want it in the downtown.
Got it. Cindy, thank you so much for meeting with us and talking to us about Rockville today.
Great.
Hey, before we wrap up, tell us, how can people keep an eye on what's going on in Rockville and keep track, with you in particular?
Well, obviously follow us on social media. We have LinkedIn. I think we have Facebook. I don't do Facebook, Instagram, and I think X, which I also don't personally do. And then the Maryland Women's Business Center is marylandwbc.org. So if you're interested in, one-on-one business counseling or classes or networking, check that out, and explorerockville.org. So they all have the social media platforms. You can sign up for newsletters. And obviously, if you really need something, email me, cindy@rockvilleready.org.
Awesome. Cindy, thank you so much for being a guest on Decoding Downtowns today.
Yeah, thank you.
And to our listeners, thank you for tuning into another episode of Decoding Downtowns. We'd also like to thank our sponsor, Vistity, for making this all possible. And until we meet for the next Decoding Downtowns, keep exploring and innovating in your district. Thank you for joining us today for Decoding Downtowns. If you've enjoyed our podcast, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's brought to you by Vistity, the leading geospatial visualization platform for data-driven decisions. Stay connected, stay informed, and let's continue to shape the future of our cities together. Until next time, I'm Jamie Schwartzman.